In the heart of the Pacific Northwest, nestled among vast forests and towering peaks, lay the small, often overlooked town of Grendel's Hollow. Renowned for its breathtaking landscapes and pristine wilderness, the town was a haven for hikers, campers, and all who sought the solace of nature. However, beneath its serene exterior, Grendel's Hollow harbored dark secrets and tales that whispered through the pines, carried on the wind and fog that often shrouded the woods. Liam Donnelly, an experienced hiker and budding filmmaker, was drawn to Grendel's Hollow by stories of its untouched beauty and haunting history. Armed with his camera and a backpack full of camping gear, Liam set out to create a documentary for his YouTube channel, focusing on the thrilling and terrifying experiences reported by visitors to the Hollow's forests. He planned to spend a week in the wilderness, recording every detail of his journey. Upon his arrival, the local townsfolk, with their weathered faces and wary eyes, warned him of the woods. They spoke of strange disappearances, eerie lights seen floating between the trees at night, and an unsettling feeling of being watched. Despite their warnings, or perhaps because of them, Liam felt a surge of excitement. This was exactly the kind of story he wanted to capture. His first day passed without incident, with Liam hiking deep into the forest and setting up camp near an old, glistening lake said to be the heart of the Hollow's mysteries. As dusk fell, he gathered wood for a fire, the crackling flames a small comfort against the creeping chill of the night. With his camera rolling, he recounted the legends he'd heard, his voice a low narration against the backdrop of an increasingly wild chorus of nighttime forest sounds. That night, as Liam lay in his tent, the stillness was shattered by a sudden, shrill scream, a sound not quite animal and not quite human. Grabbing his camera, he ventured outside, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The forest was eerily silent now, as if holding its breath. He recorded a whispered commentary, noting the abrupt change in the atmosphere. The next few days were a blend of natural beauty and unnerving experiences. Liam captured footage of fog that seemed to move against the wind, shadows that flickered just beyond the reach of his light, and inexplicable cold spots in the warmth of the afternoon sun. Each night, the strange noises continued, sometimes distant, sometimes uncomfortably close. On his fifth night, Liam woke to find his campsite bathed in a faint, ethereal glow. His camera, which he'd left on a tripod facing the tent, recorded what he could only describe as orbs of light drifting through the trees. They moved with purpose, swirling around the campsite before disappearing into the darkness. Reviewing the footage in the dim light of dawn, Liam felt a mix of fear and fascination. This was beyond anything he had expected to encounter. Determined to discover the source of these phenomena, Liam decided to follow the lights. He packed up his gear and traced the path he believed the orbs had taken. As he delved deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, the trees denser. He felt an overwhelming sense of isolation, as if he had stepped into another world. After hours of hiking, he came across an old cabin, its windows boarded, the wood aged and covered with moss. The air around it was thick with the scent of decay. Liam's camera captured every detail as he approached the door, which swung gently on its hinges, despite there being no breeze. Inside, the cabin was shrouded in shadows, but he could make out the faint outline of furniture and a fireplace choked with ashes. As he explored, the floorboards creaking under his weight, he found old, yellowed photographs scattered on a dusty table. They showed a family, their expressions somber, eyes seeming to follow him as he moved around the room. In the corner of one photo, a figure stood apart from the others, blurred almost beyond recognition, but its presence felt menacing, even from the faded paper. Suddenly, Liam heard the door slam shut behind him. Whipping around, his heart racing, he saw nothing but the now sealed entrance. The room grew colder, the shadows deeper, and his camera's battery, fully charged that morning, began to drain rapidly. As Liam turned back to the room, his flashlight flickering, he saw the figure from the photograph standing in the corner of the cabin. It was no longer blurred but terrifyingly clear. It stared at him with hollow eyes, its mouth twisted in a silent scream. As Liam raised his camera, the figure advanced, its movements jerky and unnatural. The camera captured a distorted image of the figure lunging toward him before the footage ended abruptly, cutting to static. The screen remained black for a moment before the words appeared, "To be continued." This is where the story leaves off, with Liam's fate hanging in the dark, uncertain depths of Grendel's Hollow. The last frame frozen on the screen was a blur of motion, the figure's contorted form looming over Liam, its presence palpable even through the digital distortion. In the eerie silence that followed, the forest seemed to hold its breath, the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures muted as if anticipating the outcome of the encounter. The camera's static-filled screen was a stark reminder of the sudden and inexplicable interruption, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, their minds racing with questions and anticipation. Hours passed, and the cabin remained shrouded in an oppressive stillness. The only sound was the occasional creak of old wood, as if the very structure of the cabin itself was alive and watching, waiting for something to unfold within its walls. Meanwhile, back in the town of Grendel's Hollow, whispers began to circulate among the locals. A few claimed to have seen strange lights flickering in the direction of the old cabin, while others spoke of a chill in the air that seemed to seep into their bones, even on the warmest of nights. Among those who took note of these whispers was Emily Hayes, a longtime resident of the town and an amateur historian with a keen interest in the supernatural. Emily had spent years cataloging the stories and legends of Grendel's Hollow, piecing together fragments of forgotten lore and half-truths passed down through generations. When news of Liam's expedition and subsequent disappearance reached her ears, Emily's curiosity was piqued. She sensed that there was more to the story than met the eye, that the secrets of the forest were stirring once again, beckoning her to unravel their mysteries. Armed with her own camera, a notebook filled with research, and a determination bordering on obsession, Emily set out into the woods, following the trail that Liam had taken. The forest welcomed her with a deceptive tranquility, sunlight filtering through the canopy in dappled patterns, birdsong filling the air. But Emily knew better than to trust the illusion of peace. She had seen firsthand how quickly the wilderness of Grendel's Hollow could shift from serene to sinister, how the trees whispered secrets that only the brave, or the foolish, dared to listen to. As she neared the old cabin, Emily felt a chill run down her spine. The atmosphere had changed, the air heavy with an unseen presence that sent shivers racing across her skin. Her camera rolled, capturing every step of her approach, every creak of a branch, every flutter of a leaf. The cabin loomed ahead, its weathered facade a testament to years of neglect and abandonment. Emily's gaze swept over the boarded windows, the overgrown path leading to the door, the sense of foreboding growing with each passing moment. She hesitated only briefly before pushing open the door, the hinges groaning in protest as if warning her to turn back. But Emily pressed on, her determination unwavering, her footsteps echoing in the empty interior of the cabin. The air inside was thick with dust and the scent of decay, memories of lives long gone mingling with the lingering presence of something darker, something that lurked just beyond the edge of perception. Emily's camera panned across the room, capturing the same table littered with old photographs, the same fireplace choked with ashes, the same sense of unease that seemed to seep from the very walls. But there was something else, something new, a faint whisper, barely audible but unmistakably there, weaving through the silence like a thread of darkness. She followed the sound, her flashlight cutting through the shadows, until she reached a hidden trapdoor concealed beneath a tattered rug. With a sense of trepidation, Emily pulled open the trapdoor, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into the earth below. The darkness seemed to swallow her as she descended, each step echoing in the confined space, the air growing colder with each passing moment. At the bottom of the stairs, Emily found herself in a subterranean chamber, the walls lined with shelves containing ancient tomes and arcane artifacts. Her camera recorded everything, the eerie glow of dimly lit lanterns, the flickering shadows that danced across the stone walls, the unmistakable sense that she had stumbled upon something far beyond her understanding. As Emily moved deeper into the chamber, drawn by an unseen force, she came upon a pedestal upon which rested a peculiar object, a dagger, its blade etched with intricate runes, its hilt adorned with symbols of unknown origin. Without hesitation, Emily reached out, her fingers brushing against the cold metal of the dagger. As she did, a surge of energy coursed through her, images flashing before her eyes, visions of rituals performed in the dead of night, of figures cloaked in shadow, of a darkness that threatened to consume everything in its path. With a gasp, Emily withdrew her hand, the visions fading but leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. She knew then that she had stumbled upon something far more sinister than she had ever imagined, something that had drawn Liam into its grasp and now threatened to ensnare her as well. But Emily was not one to back down from a challenge, especially when it came to uncovering the truth. With renewed determination, she turned her camera to face herself, her expression resolute despite the fear that gnawed at her insides. To be continued, she whispered into the lens, her voice a vow and a warning, a promise to uncover the secrets of Grendel's Hollow no matter the cost. And with that, the screen faded to black, leaving viewers with a sense of anticipation and unease, wondering what dark revelations awaited Emily in the depths of the forest, and what horrors she would uncover in her quest for the truth. As Emily stood in the dimly lit chamber, her heart pounding in her chest, she couldn't shake the feeling that something ancient and malevolent lurked just beyond her sight. The air was heavy with a sense of impending doom, as if the very walls of the chamber were closing in, trapping her in a web of darkness and mystery. She took a deep breath, steeling herself against the rising tide of fear. With her camera still recording, Emily began to examine the artifacts that lined the shelves. Each item seemed to hold a story of its own, a whisper of forgotten rituals and forbidden knowledge. One particular book caught her eye, a leather-bound tome with pages yellowed with age. The symbols etched on its cover seemed to writhe and shift, as if alive. As Emily opened the book, the musty scent of ancient parchment filled the air, and she felt a surge of trepidation mingled with curiosity. The pages were filled with handwritten text in a language she couldn't decipher, interspersed with crude illustrations of grotesque creatures and arcane symbols. Emily's fingers traced the lines of text, her mind racing as she tried to make sense of the cryptic writings. Suddenly, a whisper echoed through the chamber, a voice so faint it was almost imperceptible. Emily froze, her heart skipping a beat as she strained to listen. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, as if urging her to uncover its secrets. With trembling hands, Emily turned back to her camera, her voice barely a whisper as she spoke. "I don't know what's happening in this place, but there's something here, something that doesn't want to be forgotten." As if in response, the lanterns in the chamber flickered, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Emily's senses were on high alert, every creak of the old chamber echoing like a gunshot in the silence. She turned her attention back to the book, flipping through its pages until she came upon a section that seemed to describe a ritual, an ancient ceremony meant to open a gateway to another realm, a realm of darkness and despair. The more Emily read, the more she realized the gravity of what she had stumbled upon. This wasn't just a forgotten chamber filled with relics of the past, it was a gateway, a portal to a world beyond comprehension. But before she could delve further into the ritual, a noise echoed through the chamber, a scraping sound, like claws against stone. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she scanned the room, her flashlight casting wild shadows in every direction. And then she saw it, a figure, shrouded in darkness, standing at the far end of the chamber. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, fixing Emily in place with an intensity that sent a chill down her spine. Without hesitation, Emily raised her camera, her hands shaking but her resolve unwavering. She zoomed in on the figure, capturing its form on film, a creature unlike anything she had ever seen, a being of nightmares and ancient lore. As she recorded, the creature moved closer, its movements fluid yet unnatural, as if defying the laws of physics. Emily's heart raced as she realized the danger she was in, but she couldn't tear her gaze away from the camera's viewfinder. With a sudden burst of movement, the creature lunged forward, its inhuman screech reverberating through the chamber. Emily stumbled backward, her camera capturing the chaos and terror unfolding before her. And then, as quickly as it had appeared, the creature vanished, leaving Emily alone in the chamber, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The air seemed to shimmer with residual energy, a palpable sense of malevolence lingering in the darkness. With a shaky hand, Emily turned off her camera, the screen fading to black. The chamber was silent once more, the only sound the echo of her own heartbeat. "To be continued," Emily whispered, her voice barely audible in the oppressive stillness. She knew that the horrors she had encountered were only the beginning, that there were deeper mysteries waiting to be uncovered in the depths of Grendel's Hollow. And with that, the screen remained blank, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats, wondering what nightmares awaited Emily in the next chapter of her harrowing journey into the unknown. The chamber seemed to hold its breath, as if the very air was waiting for Emily's next move. She stood there, the weight of the ancient tome in her hands, its pages whispering secrets that she could not yet comprehend. Every fiber of her being screamed for her to run, to flee from the darkness that lurked in the shadows. But her curiosity, her need to uncover the truth, kept her rooted in place. With a deep breath, Emily turned back to the book, determined to decipher its cryptic contents. The text spoke of a ritual, an invocation of dark forces, a pact with entities from beyond the veil. It detailed the steps, the incantations, the sacrifices required to open the gateway to the other realm. As Emily read on, the chamber seemed to come alive around her. Shadows danced along the walls, forming grotesque shapes that taunted her from the periphery of her vision. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if urging her to complete the ritual, to unlock the secrets that lay dormant for centuries. But Emily hesitated. She knew the dangers that lurked in delving too deeply into the forbidden, the consequences of tampering with forces beyond mortal comprehension. Yet, the allure of knowledge, of power, was a seductive whisper in her mind, tempting her to take that final step into the unknown. With trembling hands, Emily reached for the dagger she had found earlier, the dagger with its blade etched with ancient runes, its hilt pulsing with an otherworldly energy. She hesitated, the weight of her decision pressing down on her like a leaden shroud. Outside the chamber, the forest echoed with the sounds of the night, rustling leaves, distant howls, the mournful hoot of an owl. But within the confines of the ancient chamber, time seemed to stand still, the only sound the rhythmic thud of Emily's heartbeat. As she held the dagger aloft, the runes on its blade seemed to glow with a dim, ominous light. Emily closed her eyes, trying to steady her trembling breaths. Her mind raced with questions, doubts, fears, but also with a burning curiosity, a desperate need to understand. Slowly, almost reluctantly, Emily began to recite the incantations from the ancient tome. The words felt alien on her tongue, each syllable heavy with power and consequence. The chamber seemed to pulse with energy, the air crackling with unseen forces. With each line of the incantation, Emily felt a surge of something primal, something raw and untamed, coursing through her veins. The shadows danced more frenetically, the whispers grew into a cacophony of voices that echoed in her mind. And then, with the final words of the incantation hanging in the air, Emily plunged the dagger into the ancient tome, its blade sinking into the pages with a sickening squelch. The chamber erupted with blinding light, a vortex of energy swirling around Emily, pulling her into its chaotic embrace. The last thing Emily saw before everything went black was the image of the creature, the being of nightmares and ancient lore, emerging from the shadows, its eyes glowing with hunger and malice. And then, there was nothing. No sound, no light, only a void of emptiness and silence. The screen remained blank, the camera still recording, as if capturing the aftermath of Emily's fateful decision. The forest outside the chamber seemed to hold its breath, as if aware of the cataclysmic events unfolding within. To be continued, the screen whispered, a promise of more horrors to come, more mysteries to unravel in the twisted depths of Grendel's Hollow. And with that, the story hung in limbo, leaving viewers to wonder what dark fate awaited Emily, what horrors would emerge from the gateway she had unwittingly opened, and what secrets of the outdoors' scary realms would be revealed in the next chilling chapter. The darkness seemed to stretch on forever, an endless void devoid of light or sound. Emily was lost in the emptiness, her senses dulled by the overwhelming nothingness that surrounded her. She tried to move, to scream, to do anything to break free from the suffocating abyss, but her efforts were futile. It was as if she had become a part of the void itself, trapped in a nightmarish limbo with no escape. Time lost all meaning in the void. Seconds stretched into eternity, each moment filled with a sense of impending dread. Emily's mind raced with visions of the creature, of the ancient tome, of the dagger and the forbidden ritual she had unleashed. Regret gnawed at her, a bitter taste in her mouth as she realized the magnitude of her folly. And then, in the depths of the darkness, a flicker of light appeared, a single point of brilliance amidst the nothingness. It grew brighter, expanding into a blinding flash that seared through Emily's consciousness. She cried out, a primal scream torn from her lips as she was pulled back into reality. When Emily opened her eyes, she found herself standing in the ancient chamber once more. But everything had changed. The walls were no longer stone but pulsated with a sickly green glow, as if infused with a dark magic. The shelves that had once held artifacts now displayed grotesque totems and forbidden relics, each emanating an aura of malevolence. Emily's heart raced as she realized that she was no longer alone. Figures moved in the shadows, indistinct shapes that seemed to shift and warp with every passing moment. Whispers echoed through the chamber, unintelligible words that sent shivers down Emily's spine. With trembling hands, Emily reached for her camera, desperate to document the horrors unfolding before her. But when she turned it on, the screen remained blank, the device unresponsive. Panic clawed at her as she realized that she was cut off from the outside world, trapped in this nightmarish realm with no means of escape. The figures in the shadows drew closer, their forms becoming clearer with each step. They were grotesque, twisted beings that defied logic and reason. Some had too many eyes, others too many limbs, all of them exuding an aura of primal hunger and madness. Emily backed away, her footsteps echoing in the chamber. She searched for a way out, but the walls seemed to shift and morph, closing in around her like the jaws of a predator. The whispers grew louder, forming into a chorus of deranged laughter and guttural chants. And then, from the darkness, the creature emerged, the same entity that had haunted her visions, its eyes glowing with a hunger that sent a chill down Emily's spine. It spoke, its voice a cacophony of overlapping tones that reverberated through the chamber. "You have awakened us," the creature hissed, its form shifting and changing with every word. "You have opened the gateway, and now the ancient ones are free." Emily's mind raced as she tried to make sense of the creature's words. What ancient ones? What gateway had she opened? Fear gripped her heart as she realized the magnitude of her actions, the consequences of her curiosity. "We hunger," the creature continued, its voice a sickening blend of malice and hunger. "We crave souls, mortal flesh to sustain us." Emily knew then that there was no escape, no hope of survival in this twisted realm. She had unleashed something beyond her comprehension, something that hungered for destruction and chaos. With a final surge of defiance, Emily raised her camera once more, determined to capture the horrors she faced, to leave a record of her folly for anyone who might come after her. But as she pressed the record button, the screen flickered to life, displaying a single message. No signal. The realization hit Emily like a physical blow. She was truly alone, cut off from the world, trapped in a realm of nightmares with no way out. The chamber seemed to close in around her, the figures in the shadows drawing closer with each passing moment. And then, in a final act of desperation, Emily spoke into the camera, her voice a whisper of defiance and resignation. "If anyone finds this," she said, her words echoing through the chamber, "beware the outdoors' scary secrets. Some doors are better left unopened, some knowledge better left buried. Learn from my mistake, and may whatever gods exist have mercy on us all." With that, Emily's recording ended, the screen fading to black once more. The chamber was silent once more, the only sound the whispers of the ancient ones and Emily's echoing words of warning. The story of Emily's journey into the outdoors' terrifying mysteries ended here, leaving viewers with a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the unknown and the horrors that await those who dare to seek them out.